So the last few days, I've been experimenting with various different AI tools to see how viable they would be to use inside a real-world project with a client on a project. And in this video, I want to quickly go over some of my findings. Now, this isn't going to be exhaustive, but if you would like me to create a tutorial on the entire process from initial sitemap right the way through wireframing, mocking things up, creating the images, then building it inside a tool like Bricks, let me know in the comment section down below. And if enough are interested, I will definitely create that video. So we're going to use a couple of different tools. Some of these are paid, some of these are free. The whole point is you can probably find alternatives. I just want to go through what I've been experimenting with. But as always, let me know your thoughts down below. Okay, so first of all, I've been using Relume. Now, I've talked about Relume several times over the last couple of weeks. It's a wireframing tool, a sitemap tool, and also a style guide. So I've created a wireframe and a sitemap for a fictitious landscape gardening company. Now, I want to present this to my client and I want to have some content inside this so they can envisage what I'm thinking of. We've got some basic brand colors, but nothing more than that. They don't have any images yet, so we need to create them. This is what I've done inside Relume. I'm not going to go into detail. Check out the video here and linked in the description if you want to find out more. So we've got the homepage created, and as you can see, there's various different sections. It is low fidelity. It is just literally showing you how this all works, what the layout's going to be like. We can change it, we can tweak it, we can do what we want. But let's say we're happy with this result. We can then move over to their new style guide. Again, I've covered the style guide in more detail in the past. So inside the style guide, we've got our colors, our typography, our basic UI styling for buttons and for cars and images and so on. I've already set this up. I've locked the color scheme in. I've got my neutral set up. We've got a light and dark mode. You kind of get the idea here. And then we've got the actual site itself, which includes some of the AI images that I've generated and created for this. So what this allows me to do is very easily see what the end result would look like. Do I want to see what it looks like on a mobile? Not a problem. Let's just switch it over and take a quick look. So you can see that it looks pretty sweet. I can then create these pitch concepts, share them with my clients, get their feedback on them, and I can create multiple different versions, maybe different pages, different layouts, different color schemes, get the idea, have a full preview, get feedback, share that. But it's a great representation of the end result. And what I really like about this is because we don't have any images from the client, we can use AI to generate these images. And as you can see, while it may look a little AI generated at first glance, most people will never notice it, but it shows the client what they could expect if they invest in good quality photography, which, let's be honest, clients really should be investing in that if they want to sell premium services or products. Now, if you're getting value for this video and you enjoy this kind of content, why not go down there and hit that thumbs up button to let YouTube know that you like it? If you don't know, well, you can hit the thumbs down button twice, as that seems to work pretty well too. And while you're down there, why not hit that subscribe button to be kept up to date when new content is available? Anyway, let's get back on with the video. So how do we go about creating those images? Well, for this, I've been using Sora. So if you're unaware, Sora is basically like ChatGPT, AI powered, but it's specifically being used for image generation and for short video clip generation. I haven't really played too much with the video side of things. I don't really have a need for that right now, but the images, they have impressed me since the new update to ChatGPT and Sora has come out very recently, which is their own non-DALL-E based image generation. The results are so much better than we were getting with DALL-E, so much more realistic and human without those extra hands and fingers and weird kind of things going on. People look like people and you can use it in a much better way. Great for prototyping. Let me show you some examples of what I've used and let me show you how you could use it yourself. So if we come into my media section, you can see there's the hero image that I've set up and created for our prototype for our client, our fictitious site. As you can see, if we open it up, it's a great looking image. The prompt kind of go into detail. So what I would recommend is if you are new to this and you're not used to prompting to get the results you want, and this was the result I got on the first prompt. There was no messing around here, and I'm relatively new to kind of working with this kind of way. But as you can see, it's an image for the hero section of a landscape gardening company, says exactly what the image should contain, but then you can tell it what kind of image you want. So for example, it should be photorealistic, not some kind of illustration. Professional, use beautiful early evening soft lighting to accentuate the high quality aspect of the work. And as you can see, that's exactly what it's done. We've got those warm tones. It sells things nicely. So the next thing I wanted to get a real person inside there for just to kind of express that transforming an outdoor space. You know, you kind of get the idea to make it something special. I wanted an image a specific kind of way. So again, turn to Sora. And as you can see, I've gone through and prompted a few things here, and it wasn't really giving me what I wanted to start off with. It was encompassing the various different things I was asking for, but it kind of wasn't where I wanted it to be. So the beauty of something like this is you can kind of go on a little meandering path if you don't know what you want, and you can use this to kind of experiment. So this is the first image that it kind of came up with, which setting and everything looks great, but her eyes are closed and she's just kind of sat there, which kind of felt a bit strange and random. So again, it just led me on to sort of re-prompt this and ask for a sort of smiling face looking towards the camera with a book as if she sat in the garden. Again, conveying the kind of lifestyle that you'd expect from this kind of sort of setup. The beauty of this is, and this is one of those things that I think is really cool, you can see that if we take a look at both these images, they are fundamentally the same background, the same image, with only some slight alterations to slight change in posture, maybe different face, showing the to read the book. Again, the hands look great. So all I basically did is I can select this image and you can come into remix this and you can just put in the prompt you want to use. But the cool thing about this is you can kind of highlight over the areas that you want to change. So where I'm asking it to change the face, look towards the camera and so on, it knows what areas I want to change and it leaves the rest of it relatively intact. So we kind of get a much more hybrid approach, which is much more in keeping that if you had a photographer and you were saying like, oh, I like the pose, but I'd like it to be this way, you now have more control over that. And as you can see, it is giving very natural results. Looks like a staged photograph. And okay, you may say it looks like AI, but the whole point I'm talking about here is you could use this for prototyping. You can use this for getting client feedback, giving the client ideas of what you're looking for specifically, which I think is kind of cool. Then we jump down to another section where we kind of want to talk about the people behind the actual company. So I wanted to have someone standing in the same kind of environment, looking like they're a gardener, you know, with the sort of overalls and those kinds of things on. So this is what we ended up with. Again, this was prompted directly inside Sora with one single prompt. And as you can see, if we open up the prompt itself, there's nothing complex here. Tells it exactly what I want. Again, saying professional photo shoot, shallow depth of field, soft evening lighting. So we keep that consistency across the images. So all the images on the site will have that kind of soft evening glow, the kind of warmer lighting, which I think accentuates what we're trying to convey here. But again, you'd obviously set up what you want when you're creating yours. And the thing that I do like about working with Sora, which I think is nicer to work with for images and video over what you can do in ChatGPT, even though the results are relatively similar, is that this defaults to images, but you can set an aspect ratio, which currently you can try, but there's no option to sort of select it inside ChatGPT. You physically have to tell it what aspect ratio you want, and then it kind of only adheres to these kind of aspect ratios, so you're not getting a 16:9 and so on. But again, this probably looks a little bit more AI, but again, it's a good starting point to kind of get an idea for what we want. And again, you can see all the aspects, the face, the hair, the pose, the hands, all those things look correct, anatomically correct, which is not something we've had with any kind of certainty previously. Then for the kind of call to action strip at the bottom, I wanted to have something that's kind of closing what we're doing here, which is kind of bringing the day to a close. So we've got evening light to kind of show what a garden could look like with the lighting and so on, sets that scene, looks good with the darker background, but also helps to sort of get this text and the get a quote consultation, you know, whatever call to action you want to kind of stand off the page a little bit better and not kind of obscure everything that's going on in the background. So again, we're just using Sora here. Again, we're just using a simple prompt, telling it exactly what I want, adjusting things, telling, again, a photorealistic, you know, nothing we haven't already covered here. And I think the end result looks pretty good. Then kind of moving on, we want to have a sort of like, this is the team. And as you can see, they look like, well, we've got two lots of twins working in this company, which could happen, I suppose. But I liked the setting, I liked the idea, I didn't like the fact that everybody looked the bloody same. So what did I do? Like I've just shown you, selected the faces, told it that I want to have a bit more diversity, and this is what we end up with. So now we have at least 4 different people in the same environment, using the same kind of setup, the same kind of lighting, same kind of clothing, keeps that consistency across the board. And you'll see, even though the logo is slightly different to the first guy, we sort of created back down here, the styling of the clothes and everything else is very, very similar. So you could easily tweak that to bring the colors in line. No real problem there. But all in all, I think it's a great starting point. It's a great way to prototype. And then once I've done that, I've then gone and built the site using bricks and a combination of creating the sections where it was quicker to do that and sections that were already created inside Brixies that matched or were close to what I had inside my wireframe and my sort of mock-up. I've used those. So now this is what we end up with. And as you can see, those images in the kind of real setting inside our website kind of look pretty good. You would swap them out probably for most use cases, especially with the people and things like that, for the real people. But you could easily get an idea of what this could look like. And I think the sort of property shots, they stand up really well as a shot you could use for the site itself. This is great, like I say, when you're working with a client that doesn't necessarily have particularly good photographs. You could even use their photographs as kind of source images to push the AI inside Sora or ChatGPT to kind of give you more of what you want that's closer to what they've done. And then they can replace those with better photographs as and when they get them. But nothing worse than having a great looking site that's spoilt by terrible photos. So this may be a good use case for using something like Sora. But let me know your thoughts. Would you use these kinds of images? Would you use them for a final site, for prototyping, for the whole sort of feeding off to the client and getting their kind of feedback from them? Let me know in the comment section down below. As always, all applicable links are in the description. My name is Paul C. This is WPTuts, and until next time, take care.